God of War 2018 is probably one of the most iconic games of the decade. The stunning visuals, an immersive story, and some amazing combat, but it's now 7 years old. It's got a sequel, God of War Ragnarok, and you haven't played either of these two games, then you're probably asking yourself, is God of War 2018 still worth it today, or should I just get the newest God of War? Now, despite winning Game of the Year in 2018, this game isn't perfect and there's some key points that you do need to know before buying this game. So in this video, I'll be telling you everything you need to know without spoiling any major parts of the story. Now, the game follows Kratos and his son Atreus as they go on a quest beyond the safety of their own home. Kratos doesn't think his son is ready, but is left with no choice as the home is no longer safe. Kratos wants to protect Atreus, but Atreus is very cocky and seems to not care and thinks everything will be easy. They have funny moments, sad moments, as well as fantastic character development. Now let's look at how the game actually functions. So the game is semi-open world. This means you'll have a lot of freedom to explore and you aren't bound to the main storyline. You can do side quests and explore whenever you want, but sooner or later in order to progress, you will have to complete the main quests. This consists of exploration, puzzle solving, and tons of addicting combat. As you play the game, you'll unlock new weapons, armor, and unique moves to use during combat. Every move has a video showing exactly what it does and a description telling you how to do it, making the combat very beginner friendly. You also get 3 unique abilities with your weapon that work on a cooldown system, and they too come with a description and a video. Now, there is a vast amount of armor and gear for your weapons that you can craft and unlock. Each piece of gear has a unique look and different stats and attributes. All of your gear can be upgraded too, but you can't upgrade Atreus' gear as he can't actually die, but his armor comes with different attributes instead that can help you throughout the game. You can craft, buy, upgrade, or sell your items at workshops all around the map. These workshops are run by 2 brothers, Brock and Sindri, who play a fairly influential role throughout the storyline, and usually hit you with some stupid comment.
What's got you all bumfuzzled over there? Get going!
As you play the game, you'll find loot in the form of materials and items. You can use the materials to craft or upgrade your items. The best loot will usually come from completing quests, puzzles, or defeating bosses. You also get loot from opening or breaking chests around the map, but this loot doesn't tend to be as good as the ones you get from quest puzzles or defeating the bosses. To travel around, you'll be using a Viking longboat to travel through water. You can also use the Mystic Gateways. These are basically God of War's fast travel system. To be able to use one, you have to discover it first, and then after that you can fast travel to that Mystic Gateway from a different Mystic Gateway. The other form of travel is between realms. To do this, you also have to go to the travel room in Tyr's temple. You'll unlock more realms as you play, but some realms will always be unavailable as they are blocked by Odin. Each realm comes with a whole new environment to explore, different quests and missions to complete, with some realms even having unique loot that you can't find anywhere else. Now let's talk about the difficulty of the game. There are 4 difficulties to choose from, called Give Me a Story, Give Me a Balanced Experience, Give Me a Challenge, and Give Me God of War. Give Me a Story will make the combat super easy and is a good choice for people who aren't that good at the combat aspect of many games. Give Me a Balanced Experience increases the health of enemies, how much damage they do, and makes them smarter in fights. Give Me a Challenge does everything that the previous difficulty does, but amps that up a bit more, making the enemies harder to fight. And I think you can guess how hard it is playing on Give Me God of War. I personally recommend Give Me a Challenge because I found the combat still rather easy on Give Me a Balanced Experience. Now, something that everyone may not find that interesting is the in-depth lore system, where you can collect information from shrines and different artifacts and find lore markers throughout the map. All this lore gets stored in your codex, which you can access at any time, but it's not necessary to the game and you don't need to pay attention to it if you don't want to. Now, arguably one of the most important aspects of buying any game is if you can run the game on your system, which may be a deal breaker for some people. So if you're playing on console, make sure they have a PlayStation because Xbox users can't play God of War as it's a PlayStation exclusive that's also on PC. A PS5 will run the game really well, while a PS4 won't be as good, but the game will still be very playable. Now, if you're on a PC, the official minimum requirements for your graphics card is a 4GB Nvidia GTX 960 or a 4GB AMD R9 290X, and for your CPU it's an Intel i5 2500K or an AMD Ryzen 3 1200. Now, don't be fooled by the minimum requirements, because these specs can technically run the game, but you will get around 20 FPS on all low settings on 720p, and nobody wants to play that way. So if you want to have a playable experience, you'll be needing something more like a Ryzen 5 2400G and a 1060 Ti to be getting around 60 FPS on medium settings. Now with all that said, let's go over the pros and cons. So starting with the pros, you get an incredibly well written storyline with great character development, as well as a really good dynamic between Kratos and Atreus. The combat is very addicting and unique, and it doesn't get repetitive throughout the game, which is a big plus. Next, there are no loading screens. From cutscenes, traveling around the map, it's all done in one continuous camera shot. And as great as it sounds, this will mean that different actions like opening doors and climbing mountains can take longer because the game uses this time to lock your camera and then load in the background where you can't see stuff. This can get repetitive and annoying. For anyone who's played any of the previous God of War games, this will not be that similar. The previous God of War games were much gorier and much more aggressive, while this game is a bit more slower paced, but it does still have that bit of gore and a bit of that rage from Kratos. So before I get to the conclusion, if you did find this video helpful, make sure you do leave a like and you do subscribe. So in conclusion, despite this game being 7 years old and already having a newer sequel out, you should definitely still get God of War 2018 first, as it holds up really well, doesn't feel like an old game, and it's definitely worth the money. And of course, it won Game of the Year for a reason.